everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to, what is this?
It's July.
It is July.
July.
Happy July.
Yeah.
These are leftover
Leftovers.
balloons
Yeah.
from our birthdays. We thought we'd share them with you. Our topic this week, this month, is you are here. Wherever you are, whatever's around you, and here we are amongst all these signs of urbanity.
Absolutely. Portland is looking fairly urban behind us compared to many places we've done these updates. But that's an interesting question we're going to be talking about and thinking about is, where are you?
Yeah,
Where are
you know,
you?
there's those signs. In fact, our topic really is kind of you are here.
Oh, well, there's the answer
Arrow.
to my question.
Yeah, well, right. Where are you? You are
I'm
here.
here.
And I was, the balloons are now on the floor, but I was holding the balloons, and I am here, next to Gary, in front of this window, in front of this city. This is where I am. And there could be an arrow right here. You are here. So there's all sorts of dimensions. When you're know, the statement, when I make the statement, or somebody makes the statement, you are here. And I go, okay, so I am here in this windowsill. And I am here with my shoulder touching Gary's shoulder. And I am, you know, that's an interesting question, experiencing this body, this form, and seeing this form in this screen as we talk with you about this topic. Also, I am in a neighborhood, a very urban neighborhood right now, in a city, in a state, in a county, in a country, on a globe, in a galaxy, in a universe. So there's a lot of you are here.
Yeah, we're in that few hundred meters of a biosphere where most of the life happens. It's like essentially like the skin of an apple, what's livable and life-giving on planet Earth.
Say
very,
more about
very
that.
thin. Well, it's a very thin layer that goes from, of course, the mountains down some distance into the Earth, and that's really what drives the life cycle, the equivalent of the skin of an apple as far as the relationship of that thickness of the skin to the whole apple. It happens in a very, very narrow band. And like Mary said, in the universe, I mean, the galaxy, we're speeding along in a orbiting galaxy, solar system that's orbiting the galaxy at 500,000 miles an hour. So where we are at any given time really changes.
And depending on perspective.
Yeah.
Where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the galaxy then is just this tiny little dot, or the solar system is this tiny little dot in the galaxy.
And Earth is way
Earth
tiny.
is really, really super tiny. So ever since, in '66, we got the first disk view, full disk view of the planet. And it was taken by a Soviet satellite. But by '68, the Apollo folk were up there and they were taking this Earthrise photo. And both of those things changed us, but especially Earthrise.
Yeah, it really was a profound event. We were actually alive. We're that old.
Yeah.
When that happened, and it was just like a game changer for people to see the home planet. I mean, it sounds now like no big deal, but it was a huge deal.
Well, and not just that. The thing, even if you weren't alive, which many of you were not yet, you've seen that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the transformations that had to occur in the way we made sense of ourselves when Copernicus demonstrated that the Earth was not the center of the universe, the sun was. Well, now we know the sun's not the center of the universe either. But that was a big shift when we went from thinking the Earth was flat to knowing it was round.
Yeah, the notion of our here has been changing profoundly over time.
Yes, and so we are in the position, and this is one of the things that we can learn, and this is me speaking as a social scientist, of course, and as a person in a life, and that is that we do best, really, we do best with all of who we are when the stories that we register about the people and places and circumstances in which we find ourselves are held lightly. And we change, we're willing to change those stories with new information. We set ourselves up for untold misery if the "you are here" never changes. If the "you are here" doesn't adjust, what I understand as where I am, doesn't adjust with new information. It's been changing my whole life, and it will continue to change. And that's exciting to me. But, that is one of the things that the natural world can kind of teach us, because, a tree is just here. And the circumstances change for the tree, and the tree adjusts.
I think it's interesting too to every once in a while ask the question, what had to happen for me to be here now? What are all the things that had to happen for me, or that tree outside the window, to end up here? And of course you can go way, 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 way back.
Or that building. I mean,
yeah.
think about the raw materials that went into making that building and where they came from.
Yeah, everything really is in motion. We talk about stillness and getting quiet, and absolutely essential. But the stillness, the stability is somewhat of an illusion, because everything is moving. All the electrons that are in the floor that my foot is resting on are in motion.
Yeah.
But the relationship of that motion is stable enough to give us the appearance and the feel of something solid, something unchanging. But there really is nothing that's not changing, including how we answer the question, where are you?
And how we know what it means when we see the arrow that says, "you are here." One of the things that has been, since recorded history, but probably, I'm certain, way before that, that saints and sages of all times have said, are referred to as something that I think is called that the Romans called genius loci. And that is the spirit of a place. And it's not just, and you know what that is. You can go to different places. You can go to like a restaurant. You can go to a park. You can go to a forest. And then you can go to another forest, and they feel different. The spirit of the place. And each of us showing up as stardust in these forms is different and has a different spirit of the place that we fill. So genius loci is both the spirit of the place, but it also has the implication of the protection of place. The way that place helps you know who you are, that place helps you understand belonging and home. So genius loci is something that's been around forever, and when you can see it then how it plays out in its wisdom, and things like the song lines of the Australian Aborigines, where they follow these lines across the land, and they know where these lines of energy are. And when mothers are expecting babies and are early in the process, and the zygote is growing into a fetus, and then at around 4 months there's this first quickening, the first feeling, wherever they're standing on the song lines, that is the understanding, is that spirit has just jumped in to the child that's on the way. And then you've got all the sacred places of indigenous cultures around the world.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's an interesting thing to consider, is where I am a fact or a choice? And I'm expanding into the fact that where I am has a lot to do, my perception of where I am has a lot to do with my state of emotional stability, and whether my nervous system is regulated or dysregulated. And so our location, if you will, within the general field of mental health, that changes too.
That really links with what we say in full ecology about if we wish to be of support to let's say climate repair, that we really, really must tend to our social ecologies. So to think of us where you are here. So I am here. I woke up this morning with the experience of being in this body. You are here. And so when you think of that environmental slogan, we brought this up before, to think globally and act locally, this is what you got.
Yeah.
You got your form, you got your experiences, you got your character and personality. And like you're saying, that's a significant ecology to tend to, so that then you can tend to the ones between you. That's social ecology. Because if we don't, you know how it goes. We can plan and we can decide that there's this action and that action to be taken. And there's so much lack of clarity in communication, misunderstanding, competition, often just ridiculous stuff, because we haven't been taking care of our social ecologies, the ones within us and the ones between us.
Yeah, there's an opportunity to, you don't have to grow where you're planted, as the old saying says, meaning never move, but you do need to perhaps grow from where you are. And there are lots of opportunities and need for us to all grow together and see our growth and our place as a collective home, and our welfare and our well-being depending on everyone being connected, because we are.
Well, and so that reminds me of biophilia, and the way that we so intimately are tied. There's no getting away from it, with the well-being of what we call the natural world around us, but it's within us and we are in it.
Yeah.
So what we call ecology and biology, we apply that kind of bad habit of separation thinking as if it's something that we're not, but it's something that we are. But I do think of biophilia because isn't that about, we just won our podcast for this month, 2 MDs in Montana doing health in climate change circumstances find that their most adept collaborators are the tribes, because the tribes that they work with are very clear that the health of the land is the health of the people.
Yeah, and biophilia, which E.O. Wilson came up with, is a natural affinity, an inborn affinity for Earth, for the life around us, for nature, but recognizing that this is our mother. This life process is how we came to be, and you don't even have to try that hard to fall in love with the beings that gave you life.
Which is every being we can see. Isn't that odd? But I am going to go on and say that, because right now you can see a bunch of buildings, but we're in relation with those too. It's and this thing, Gary, that you were saying about all that appears stable and static, and is really a bunch of jumping molecules, a bunch of things, mostly space.
Truly.
In fact, Jude Curvin reminds us that it's 99.12% space. So that, like, if we got really tiny and jumped into the floor, it would be mostly space. It would be dark.
I don't know if this is exactly right, but the general point is right. It might be worth you looking up if you're interested, but that if you took all the mass that actually exists in the human population on Earth and compressed it, got rid of all the space, it would be about the size of a sugar cube. And so that's just a mind-blowing point to illuminate what Mary's talking about. Like, most of it, even if that's a slight overstatement, and I'm not sure it is, that's a tremendous amount of space.
Yes, and then tying back to us being related to the buildings, I mean, really, but we are in relation with everything. And so just like this incredible ask of human consciousness, when Copernicus said, Earth isn't the center, the sun is, and that just made people nuts. We are in a time right now where what Gary said, consensus reality says that this is a solid floor. We have potentially the chance to begin seeing it's not really that way. What does that mean? Is Star Trek really right? Can we Can we diffuse ourselves, and I know I'm not using the right language, and then come back together someplace else? And another point I heard made recently is when you come back together someplace else, you're changed. You're different. And so that's the other thing, is that everything's always changing, and we're back to holding those stories lightly, even the stories of who we are.
All of this is, it doesn't have to lead to anything other than a greatly expanded imagination. The possibilities and the probabilities, and physics say really everything we see is the result of probabilities, not some certainty that was unleashed millions of years ago. So it's a chance for us to really open up our imaginations and kind of fall in love with the wonder, as Carl Sagan and many others have done very well.
And another thing that's coming to mind for me is that we're all being invited to something that we really long for anyway, and that is a great softening of our relationship with anything. We don't have to hold so tightly and try to control. We can't control anyway. We're making ourselves nuts.
Yeah.
Soften in your relationship with yourself. Soften in the notion of exactly you are here, exactly what that means. Open, soften to the wide range of what that means for who you are and where you are and what you want. And it turns out that what we want is very, very similar. We want to love and be loved. We want to care and be cared for. We want peace. That's what we want. And so let's join forces. Let's join where we place our attention and the choices that we make.
As per your earlier Star Trek reference, make it so, #1.
Oh, absolutely, on it.
That's all right. Yay!
All right.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in again. And we're not going to be doing a deep
No, we
dive
are actually
in July.
We're going to this month, but not in August, September, or October.
Oh.
So we're going to take
I
those.
stand corrected
yeah,
again.
we're going to take those off because we're going to be off the grid a lot. So we will be. If you want a deep dive into You Are Here, join us on the 14th at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Yes. And that's on the first Tuesday, the 14th of July. And then we'll take those 3 months off and see you again in November.
All right. Now we all have the plan, including me.
Yep.
So, yes,
And
hope
you
to see you
are
in July.
Here.
I'm here.
Yeah. And you are here too. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
All right. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye for now. Have a great July.